Well, and with episodes too, like when this football game comes out, I have no idea what I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk about whatever I want. I'm not even meaning that in like a dickish way, but like,
no,
I do come, if you're watching this on YouTube, behind me is our brand new golden tee, which is great. I don't know.
Wow, are they paying us to say this? No free plugs, okay?
Free plugs.
I'm just kidding.
This is, yes, we are. We will, there's a sponsor opportunity. It sounds like a money laundering scheme, but there's a sponsor opportunity. There it is. But yes, I love games, but I am going to approach this. You and I talked about this because I'm going to be writing a review, and video game reviews make me laugh because depending on where you read it, or if you read these things, they can look at things that are not appropriate. Like when the Mario movie came out, right? The first couple of reviews were like, this is not a great movie. And then it made like $10 billion. And then it was like, you know what? This is a great movie. I approach a game like this. This game's going to be fucking great no matter what happens, Paige. Right? This review is going to be like, oh, the tackling mechanics are bad. That will not be in this review.
Yeah.
This review will be hands up.
Yeah.
Cheers. We made it. Right.
I will say, I think that's the nature of just like this show and also us. Like, we're going to look at the positives of this. Like, remember when the playoff was expanding, people were like, this sucks. We're like, hey, you know what? It's more football. And you know what? It's not going to be perfect, but it's exciting. Like, that's the part that we're going to be excited about is like, hey, this video game's back and it's super exciting. Obviously, this is your thing. And I'm excited to listen back to it. But I also, to your point about the written review, so I obviously am leaving to go on vacation. And Kramer is going to be working with another editor on writing this review and publishing it. And I was sort of like meeting with him to sort of talk about notes on this. And I was like, you just kind of got to let Kramer do his thing. I was like, we already wrote about this a couple years ago when it was like rumored that it was coming back. And I was like, there is no like strategic way that I want to go about this. I want to let you do it where you kind of like break that fourth wall of like, hey, we're buds and we're just talking about this. So I'm like on this exact same page as you with that, the sort of vibe that we bring to it, specifically you as well, to this video game. But I will say the hype around this also, if you guys saw, obviously we announced that we're bringing the podcast back and I did the Delta Dawn edit. I have been singing Delta Dawn for the last, I don't know, month since that dropped and they started doing edits for different college football campuses. I am obsessed with that song and I listen to it over and over again and it gets me like, that's going to be like the song of the season. Like, I just like cannot wait for college football. That got me so hyped. So whoever's idea that was over there at EA crushed it because that was absolutely amazing and has gotten me super hyped. So even if I'm not like going to be here when the video game comes out and play it, it's gotten me hyped for college football season and like the tradition and just the little things they showed in the like, hype videos that have made me excited that whether or not this video game works perfectly is going to be irrelevant.
This will be probably in some capacity in the review, and I've mentioned some pieces of this for anybody that's listened, but I am here in part because of this game. When this game would come out, I would go to a Walmart near me, but it was never the one nearest to me where I was living. I would drive about 45 minutes. I'd pick it up at midnight. I'd bring it home. I would simulate the season and I would write about it. And Arkansas fans out there, Greg Childs, they remember a really talented wide receiver, like won the Heisman one year in the simulation. I would do it one time and I would post it. And truly, it was, this is before this shit was done all the time. This was a dumb shit Eggs and Eggs blog, which got 25 views a day at the time, right? Like this was my way to do something kind of fun. And honestly, I wasn't even doing it for readership. I was doing it because I liked it. And, that expanded into picking games against the spread with this video game, which I'm sure there's a way we'll incorporate either into this podcast or into content, right? Like that's, and so is everybody else. But like I would stay up till 5 a.m. reading video game results and then writing it in there and taking screenshots with my cell phone, which will not surprise you knowing my technical savviness.
Yeah, I'm actually not surprised at all.
So like, this is like an emotional moment in a really bizarre, nerdy way. And, but also like the sport, like I can't remember, we hate everything. People are mad at things. People can't agree on things. They don't like the playoff. don't pay the players, pay
What's
the players.
targeting?
Conference expansion, targeting sucks. In unison, everyone's like, hell yeah, I'm going to play this game. I'm going to buy this game, and I can't wait. And the number of people that have reached out to me saying, like, how excited are you? And it's like, I'm so excited. So the review will be from the heart, and we could be critical, and we could be open, and I will try to interject. Like, I make video games in my day-to-day. So naturally, I can't help myself when I see things that will stand out. But more than anything, I'm a big goddamn fanboy who is going to open up a bottle of wine, not like crappy beer anymore, but a bottle of wine, sit there and play this game and just be thrilled. I
will say,
wait.
I think wine Kramer is my favorite. Only close second is Cutwater Kramer. But other than that,
Cutwaters are not encouraged writing a review. I think those are on the ban list for having to do actual work.
Yes. Obviously on the pod we're allowed to do that. But they have been sort of hyping all this stuff up. They've announced some rankings, and I already saw that there's been a decent amount of controversy on this stuff. But I know you have some opinions on them. And you also, I told you I hadn't looked at them. I only saw one thing that people were upset about in just like the top, I want to say it was just like the top 25 teams. Did they do the plain top 25 team ones?
Well, all right. So this is some of my favorite content we do is me pulling up things and asking you about them. And so I have a list of the one that people got mad about. And we could debate this a bit. I'm actually going to be doing a live stream on this very subject in a couple of weeks. Is the toughest places to play.
Okay.
Now, have you seen this list?
No.
Okay.
Because that's the most recent one that came out.
Well, there's like rankings galore, and we could do a quick offensive and defensive. But I want to know if you had to guess what the toughest place to play in this. What are we calling it? EA Sports College Football? I just keep calling it NCAA, man. It'll always be NCAA.
Yeah.
But EA Sports College Football, what do you think is the toughest place to play?
It should be LSU.
Okay. LSU is number 3.
Okay. So Alabama?
Alabama is number 2, and I think that's a little high for me.
Yeah. Did they say Texas A&M?
Is number 1.
Yeah.
Not bad. I would move that down. Here's the one that pisses everybody off.
Okay. Do they have Georgia on there?
Georgia, that
Auburn?
pisses. You're starting to get into the genre that pisses people off. Georgia at 5.
Auburn
is too high. Auburn is 14.
Yeah. No, sorry, I don't.
Penn State being 6. Penn State should be, to me. Well, I don't want to spoil it for the live stream, but spoiler alert anyways. LSU, Penn State are 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Like 1 and 2. Like. Period.
We're Michigan and Ohio State in this.
Ohio State is 4.
That's fair. I think the shoe is.
Yeah, Michigan.
Well, you're having recency bias. You're thinking that Michigan's won there, so you're like, oh, it's not that hard anymore.
No. Michigan is 16. Here's my problem with Michigan. If you've ever been there, it's an awesome venue. It's great, but Michigan's like a giant salad bowl. I can't even fucking get my hands like this. Instead of like going straight up, Michigan goes like out. And so it doesn't get as noisy because of the acoustics. All right, so here's your top 10. Just so we can go ahead. If
I was going to ask
if Iowa.
I just want to know if Iowa's in the top 10.
Iowa is number 20.
Okay.
Iowa's number 20. I think they should be higher, but of course I do. I'm happy they're on this list. So you have got A&M, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Florida State, and Florida. The other one, I have seen a game here. I was going to say, have I ever seen a game there? It was Florida. Should be a little higher, I think. That's an awesome. That's an awesome venue. Yeah, Swamp should be up a little higher. You've got Oregon at 11, and you've got Clemson at 12, Tennessee at 13. I know Tennessee fans are pissed off.
Yeah, Tennessee fans would be mad about that.
They're mad about everything, so that's perfect. Utah at 18. I would move Utah up.
Yep. Agree.
God, by the way, when I do this live stream, it's going to be horrible. Now that I'm saying all this
when
stuff.
You say Utah needs to be higher, people are going to. That's the beauty of college football, is that when it was regional, now it's really not. But when it was regional, the unbelievable bias against what you don't know was incredible. I mean, think about how Utah's won the way they've won in the Pac-12 over the last couple of years. I mean, Oregon, obviously, Outson's a big place that is tough to play, but Utah is so hard. There's one, it's a great environment, but two, it's also hard in the sense of like it's hard to win there because of elevation and everything else. I know that doesn't necessarily count as environment, but it is. It's hard to play there.
I'm gonna do this live stream. I think I'm doing it solo.
Sorry, I ditched you.
It's not gonna go well.
I ditched you. I'm so sorry. I know. I hope you all watch all the live streams. We got those live stream lists, and I was like, I'm gonna be in Europe, and I'm as much as honestly, there was a part of me that considered like logging on for live streams while I was away because I just can't because I'm an addict to this stuff. But I am gonna let you handle this on your own. But I do feel slightly guilty about leaving you on your own for that one.
I think that might be the one to miss. What was it last year? We did uniforms.
Yeah.
Also, people were extremely mad online, which is all good. I know EA is getting some shit for these, but again, it's very hard to do. Now,
the one go ahead. Sorry, what were you gonna? Were you gonna give the top 10?
I was gonna go to rankings of these teams.
That's okay. So
all right, because
that's
there's
not
one in
offense
particular.
or defense. That's just overall, right?
I think I have all of it actually. So if you would like to, all right, let's go this. Let's do a little offense, defense. You can throw around a team that you like as number 2. We won't drag it out for each one. Let's go offense first. Give me who you think your top 5-ish offenses are. And I think you'll get this one.
These are just this season, correct?
Yes.
This is like a rankings going into this year. Texas
is number 4.
Ole Miss
is number 13.
What?
I don't like that. Yeah, number 13. Behind Penn State.
Do they have Georgia up there?
Georgia's number 1.
Okay. Then Ohio State.
Ohio State is number 5.
Wow.
Quarterback, I would imagine.
And you said Texas is where?
Texas is 4. So you have Georgia 1.
Alabama
is 3. You have Texas 4. You have Ohio State 5. So you're missing 1. It's a Big Ten team, which sounds funny to say.
Oregon?
Yes.
Okay.
So Georgia, Oregon, Alabama, Texas, Ohio State, rounding out the top 10. LSU, Miami, Colorado. Bad.
Colorado.
Missouri should be higher. Clemson. Buddy, I don't know what to tell you.
We have no idea.
I got to make sure. The Utah, Penn State, Ole Miss should be higher. Kansas should be higher.
They don't have Arizona.
Arizona should be higher. 15.
Yeah, I was just going to say, ouch, rude. I saw that people were really upset. You don't have to ask
about Iowa, by the way. Just don't.
Fair. There were a lot of people that were mad about Colorado, specifically in all of these rankings, correct?
Yes. And, defense. Iowa, by the way.
I was just going to say Iowa.
Iowa's here, 13th. They should be a little higher, I think. Their defense could be good. But now, top 5 defensive teams.
Georgia.
Number 2.
Wow. I guess Ohio State. You just give them
number 1.
Yeah, you just give them that automatically. Like you said Iowa was what?
Iowa was 13. They should be higher than that.
Yeah, that's weird. Michigan?
7.
Okay. I feel like that's like proper. I would have thought that they would maybe like overthink that.
No, this list is a little. I mean, I don't know if there's anything surprising.
Is Mizzou on this list at all?
No, they're not top 10.
Okay, but they're on it.
They're on for offense. For offense, I actually think for total team ranking, they're on it.
Okay,
and they're featured high. We'll get to that one next. So Ohio State, Georgia. I agree. I would move up a couple of ones that are in the 5-6 range. Personally.
Where did they rank Texas?
8. So you got 7, 8. You got Michigan, Texas.
Michigan, Texas. Where did they rank Penn State?
9. So you got
interesting.
You are filling in the top 10 here. And I will say Utah at 10, I would move up as well. So
Alabama, I guess, would be
Alabama's number 4. I thought that was pretty generous for Alabama.
That is pretty generous.
Number 3, I think, is even more generous, to be honest.
Is it what? Give me a conference.
Big Ten. Again.
New Big Ten?
New Big Ten, yes.
Washington?
Washington. No, it's Oregon.
Oh, Oregon. Okay, yeah.
But I don't know. So it's Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Alabama, blank, Michigan, Texas, Penn State.
Where was Washington on the offensive one?
Not featured in the top 25. There. That. I mean, what other college football podcast will say?
I don't want to send any negative vibes to anyone, but I hope Washington has a terrible season.
If suck it, Jed is a positive vibe. I mean, that's sending the good vibes all the way around.
I don't want it for the kids. I don't want it for the youth. Okay, I want it for
suck it, Jed. Make the t-shirts.
Yeah, that's a little much.
To finish this off,
yes,
Clemson at 5, Notre Dame at 6.
Okay,
both should be really good. Yeah, Iowa should be top 10. By the way,
they should. I just think it's funny.
And last but not least, and I'll just rip these off. Here is your top 10 in EA Sports College Football, and it's going to be so hard to say.
Yeah, you're going to have to get it.
Georgia is a 95 overall. Ohio State is a 93, as is Oregon, a 93. So they like them, Oregon. Alabama, Texas, 92. Clemson is a 90 with Notre Dame. LSU also a 90 and 8. And then Penn State and Utah round out the top 10 at 88. Iowa is listed as an 87. Number 25 in this game.
Okay.
Colorado, though, is the one that's pissing everybody off. So I saw when we recorded this today, the Big 12 released their media poll. Mm-hmm. I think Colorado came in 11th. According to EA Sports College Football, Colorado is number 16 in the country with an 87. That is good luck, right? They've got two great players, of course.
Maybe it's a video game thing, because video game wise, they could put up video game numbers, but I don't.
Well, I'm sure Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter may be two of the top ranked players in the game.
Yeah, exactly. So those are going to be, people are going to lose their mind over that. Yeah, I genuinely, I mean, they're not going to be good. So, I mean, maybe they'll laugh in our faces and it'll be different, but
probably not.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Also, I know this is not a college basketball podcast, but just to say, Kansas doesn't have to play at Arizona this year. Really upset about that.
That is upsetting.
But they do play each other at Kansas, which, who knows, could make it a thing. Could make it a thing to get out there.
So we have a college football game coming out. You have a trip coming up.
Yes.
Is there anything else? We actually managed to keep this reasonably timed.
Yes, we will get into a little bit of random shit because I want to tell 2 stories. But I did want to mention another thing that we are super hyped about on this podcast specifically, and that is that TNT Sports has college football playoff rights to 2 of the games, and now is getting regular season college football rights of the Mountain West. So I just want to say we are very excited over here in the Warner Brothers Discovery, TNT Sports, Bleacher Report family that there are going to be more rights for us college football wise. So just wanted to throw that out there that we're very excited about that. And that could mean lots of very big things for all kinds of stuff.
The playoff is amazing, of course.
Yes.
But I will say the Mountain West is I love this conference. I always kind of have, and it has produced some really fun and unique games. It's got some pretty good teams too. Maybe a playoff team. I don't know.
The first game is on a Thursday night. I'm like, Thursday night, week 1 of Labor Day weekend. Yeah, let's go on True TV. So be with us, guys, because it's going to be a real treat. But in terms of random shit, yes, I'm going to Europe for 3 weeks. I'm going to be that annoying person that's on a Europe trip and people are like, how are they doing this? I waited my entire life to go to Europe. Never been. Very, very excited to do it. But before we were recording, we were talking about TSA and getting stopped by TSA. I was gone in Arizona this past weekend and I was coming back from there, and normally my bags go through, I have TSA pre-check, things go pretty smoothly for me on a regular basis. And on our way back, my bag got stopped. I'm like, that's weird, because all my toiletries, I usually am like, oh, maybe it's a toiletry thing that's causing, it's too big, or they think it's something else or whatever. I'm like, all of those are in my backpack, and it's my like roller bag that's causing this problem. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I wait, and it's my turn, and he's like, ma'am, do you have some sort of device in here? And I was like, I think I have like a charger in one of the purses that's in there. I don't know. And he's like, there's like a large device. So I'm just going to like dig in. And he like whips out my microphone. And I totally had forgot that I brought my microphone to do a live show to do Formula One predictions for BR on that Thursday. And I was already in my hotel room. I completely forgot, but I have literally never been stopped for my microphone before. And this is the first time, and he's like, some sort of device. I'm like, what kind of device is he talking about? I have no idea. And he whips out my podcast / live stream mic, and I was like, oh yeah. And also I'm like, looks weird as well, because like, who travels with a microphone that's like not in like professional microphone gear, just like in there.
What is this?
In there with their like dirty laundry surrounding it so it doesn't break. Like, I have no idea. It was just so embarrassing.
So I've been stopped for my mic.
Okay.
The last time I brought it with me to Vegas, actually, because I didn't know recording and whatnot and what I was going to do. I did a video, BR video, actually, while I was out there. Yeah. The guy, as it's going through, is like, podcast mic? I go, podcast mic. He goes, cool. And then he goes, now, my TSA story, I showed you this before he came on air. So I just worked the Golden Tee World Championship, okay? We had 22 Golden Tees. Actually, this has there's a heartwarming part of this too, but it is also funny. So we have 22 Golden Tee machines in one room, and people pay with cash, but largely they're paying with credit card or with like player account money. So yesterday, as we're taking all these down, I have to take all the money out of the machines, which I did here in this yellow. If you're not watching on YouTube, folder. You should.
It's like a very ripped little like money.
Shadier, okay, and there's a lot of bills. Now these are mainly small bills, which probably makes it look shadier. I have this in my bag, and I was not stopped by TSA, which I think is for the best, even though this is for a good cause. Now, we had a player in our community pass away this last year, which is horrible. But we're working with his family, and we made the decision that all the cash we got in, which, as you can tell, if you're watching, it's a lot, we're going to donate to a charity that they pick in his honor. So this actually is very important.
Hashtag the feels.
I'm just happy, though, that I wasn't stopped.
You didn't get stopped because that would have been a weird explanation.
Yeah, it would have looked a little weird.
No, like for charity, that's what everybody says.
The ripped bag just adds to it. Yeah. For charity. Do you want to know?
It was just right there. I had to.
There are, I could count 150 on the nose $1 bills in this, okay? So these are going right to charity. The actual charity.
Your voice cracking makes it even better.
Man, this podcast, just nervously.
We also said, guys, we missed this so much. Just like Kramer and I talk on the phone pretty regularly, at least once a week, when we're not doing the pod. But this show is very therapeutic in a lot of ways. It's a comedic relief for just the hustle and bustle of all things in his life. So we are very excited to be back. I think this season, I'm gonna jinx us, is going to be a bit more organized and than normal, but I also think there's just going to be a lot more. Like that's all we can like say now is like there's going to be more, so just be prepared. But we are excited, and we hope that this like gave you a little tidbit. Kramer is going to do, so this is going to be chopped up into two. We're going to start with a welcome back, and Kramer's going to do a little part of a review, and then the other half of this will be on the following week, and then I will be back. So technically, I'm only missing 2 weeks.
That's right. I have to figure that out.
Yeah,
man.
Well, and that's the thing. I was gonna jinx us because I am our social media manager along with producer Matt. Kramer is not our social media manager, and so if our pod clips are posted at random times or not cropped properly, give Kramer some credit. He's doing it by himself.
Also, you say we're going to be more organized and then saying I'm leaving. He's got this. It's like, well, okay.
I meant for the season. I meant for the season. Once we get back and it's August, we are so back.
Well, in truth, we were like, we both like, this is not the best time to be doing this. No. But we both miss it and we want to get going.
Yeah, so and we wanted to make sure that you guys knew that we were going to be covering video game stuff as well, and like saying hi and we're back. And we didn't want to wait until August, because once we hit August, it's preview time. It's time to really dig in, and there's going to be a lot to talk about. So we kind of were worried that we weren't going to have this fun episode if we waited. So we appreciate you, bearing with us on, the first 2 episodes of this. But after that, we are so back.
Yes, so
like
organized.
Texas. For real.
For real. They were back. Kind of.
They were.
Okay. I don't have any other random shit. I started with random shit.
I don't think I do either. I mean, besides the fact that, like, I cannot wait for Europe, and it's going to be my whole personality for 3 weeks.
What's the over-under on bottles of wine consumed over a 21-day period?
So I'm curious to see what happens. To be fair, we've got 3 wine tours. So 1 in Spain, 1 in Lisbon, and 1 in Porto. So 2 places in Portugal, 1 in Barcelona. So probably significant amount. We also have like a cheese and chocolate tasting tour with wine pairings in Switzerland. So there's a lot of tours that are involved in this. But the other part is that we're doing a lot of touristy stuff. So I feel like we won't drink until like the end of the day and we get to sit down maybe. But I mean, we're going to have some with lunch. But yeah, no, I think, I will say I am going to have a mountain beer. So we're going to the Alps, obviously, the Swiss Alps. And there's like a restaurant that's like up in the middle of the Alps. And I was I can't.
Are you doing like St. Moritz? Are you doing...
No, I'm not doing that area. We're doing the little place that we're staying is called Wengen, but it's next to a mountain that starts with a J that I can't even pronounce.
Good enough.
But we were doing like a hike from there to like the small town that we're staying in. And there is like in the middle of the mountains, this like picturesque like picnic tables with like beers, and you can have mountain beers there. And I'm like, we're getting mountain beers. I normally don't do beer, but I'm going to do beer in the Swiss Alps. I feel like that's very cliche.
No, that's good.
That, and I'm going to like frolic in a field like I'm on The Sound of Music. That is just like a given. That's why I literally made a new Instagram account, because I was like, I have to keep my That Sports page to sports. Like I'm going to stick to sports in this, but I need to have somewhere that I can just create chaos and just be very random online.
Would you like to give that out? I think we should plug that.
No, that blog page. I thought that was pretty clever. Not that Sports page has been my whole personality since I was in college. That's literally been my thing. And then I was like, what do I call this? And I was like, I guess you can just call it the blog page, because it'll be a blog of just like everyday life. And
that is clever.
There will be some sports stuff. There will be some sports stuff in there, obviously, because I can't help myself. But I was like, yeah, I should probably find a place where I can post all my travel content, especially because, to your point, after like a few glasses of wine, I think I'm the funniest person online. So I'm like not afraid to post.
Confine it to this home. Like
yeah, exactly. So I was like, maybe I just put it all here so people don't like be like, what's wrong with this girl? But yeah, no, it'll be fun. And when we get back, it'll be football season, not only for me, but obviously my boyfriend is a high school football coach, moving up to varsity this year. So
it's crazy, dude. It
starts.
I know. It's
when we get back.
It is exciting. These are exciting times. I have a less exciting month coming up, which is actually okay.
We've got the video game. It's the most exciting.
That is really exciting, and it has been a crazy season of coaching and kids sports. I think that will calm down, so hopefully I actually get to enjoy a little bit of summer.
Yeah.
Before things get crazy. When we used to do profiles and stuff, this was like one of the most insane months of the year. Because we were traveling and getting interviews. And while I miss it in some ways, I actually don't miss it in others because it was so intense. And I think this is a good time for everybody to catch a breath. But like you said, we have a video game coming out. I have a ton of content on VR that I'll be doing for that, which I'm excited about.
Yes, please go watch Kramer live and maybe make the comments nicer, since I won't be there to filter them into... Because I'm the sassier one of the two of us, to no surprise of anyone, that I'll like read the comment and be like, okay,
buddy, it's going to be bad in there.
But maybe channel your inner Paige and get some sass going and give some back to the chat.
I was just gonna check. I know I have another live stream, and I gotta remember the other one I'm doing. Both were ripe with the possibility of getting absolutely shit on, which is fine, by the way. I'm at peace with that. But no, it's gonna be fun. Have a wonderful trip.
Thank you.
Travel safely.
Yeah.
We're going to set the bottles of wine over 21 days. I'm going to say 15 and a half.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture every single time we have a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And then just count them after we're done and see what you what you got.
15
Are
and
you
a half
going
is the
over
bottom.
or under?
Well, I set the line, so I can remove myself from this. I'd have an overlean. I think the part where
Okay.
maybe you're like, we're not going to drink till later in the day, and then you're going to get there and be like,
We're
you
on
know what?
vacation.
Morning wine, night wine. But the other problem in this, it's an endurance test. You may go a couple days where you're like, I don't know if I
That's the
can do
thing.
wine.
There's a lot of walking involved and a lot of like tourist stuff. That's why I'm a little worried that we're not, because it's also going to be hot, except for everywhere except for London. Thanks, London. But yeah, it'll be interesting. And also, I have full faith in you that you can handle this all by yourself with producer Matt.
3 hours later.
3, 2, 1. And we are back. Glorious week. Glorious, glorious week. The football game has returned, and no puns allowed. He's back. Paige is out enjoying Europe. It looks like she's having fun. The beer count looks incredibly high. We'll get a full report when she gets back. She'll be back soon. But because a little college football game came out this week, we need to talk about it, and I need to talk about it. So I've talked about it a lot already, but I'm going to talk about it a little more because I can't be like my full self on some of the BR videos that I did. I've been doing some videos with Mr. Michael Felder in the bleachers while Paige is out. We did a best teams to start Dynasty with. We'll talk about that. We also did a little toughest places to play episode as well, using EA's rankings, which were kind of bullshit, as the backdrop for this. So, but I want to talk about this football game. If you want to get my full written thoughts, you can do it on the Bleacher Report website. They let me write a review. I've had like 3 pieces of content. I got to be honest, I'm not in game shape right now. I'm not in. This is like you didn't train all off season, then you have to play a game. Like that's how I feel like we are doing right now in terms of writing. In terms of the game itself, though, I've been looking forward to this moment for a really long time. So I want to start. I've told this on the pod, and Paige is not here to cut me off, so I can do it again. This football game has meant a lot to my life and my career as a college football writer. I'm going to say career with like air quotes. I was talking to my wife about this the other night. There was a time when this game would come out at midnight, I would go to the local Walmart. I would like be the only person there. I would get the game. I would come back, and then I would simulate the results, which I did this week, and we'll talk about those simulations because they generated a ton of interest, just like always. And then I'd write about it, and I posted it to my blog, Kegs and Eggs blog, which has been dead now for quite a while. I'm also realizing in a solo pod episode, it's not really a good pod to drink to because I got to talk the whole fucking time. So if you hear me slurping away, that's fine. Just we're all friends here. So the simulation element of this, when I started Kegs and Eggs blog, I was getting 6 to 7 readers a week. It was mostly me and my family. And the simulation, for whatever reason, was interesting to people. It's still interesting to people. It blows me away. It's one person's Xbox, PlayStation, whatever the fuck it is, and it's giving these weird results. And I don't fake these results. I got accused of that back in the day, and I didn't fake this year's either. I do it one time, and the results are what they are. I don't need to make them interesting. I don't need to make them controversial. I don't have time for any of this fucking shit. I did this the other night. I'm trying to write a review. The simulation was frankly a bit of a nuisance. I didn't remember how to do it. I had people DMing me saying, how do we do this? And I did it through Dynasty, by the way. If you go through Dynasty, you can do it. I shared the screenshots. You can go check them out on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck you call it, at Kegs and Eggs. And again, we'll get to the simulation results here in a little bit. But this game has meant a lot, right? I've poured a lot into this game. Week in, week out. We went on an unbelievable heater gambling run using this game as a simulation. There was one bowl season more than 10 years ago. Been writing at BR for a really long time. That this game was on looking against the spread, like heater of all heaters. There was one season where I think it was over 65%. This was content, and we're going to figure out ways to inject this content, whether it's BR or this pod or whatever the fuck we're going to do. It will be there. So I when I say that the release of this game was an emotional moment, it kind of was. And you know what made it even more emotional? I was supposed to get the game early from EA. It didn't happen. It's fine. Made it work. My wife actually downloaded it for me while I was out. Figured it out amazingly. Shout out to the wife. And got home. And my kids, of course, want to play. So my two boys are now 7 and 5. They like college football, but they have yet to truly, I think the season will change, really get deeply into college football other than they know I love Iowa. So we fired it up together. And I took pictures. I'll share them on social. We played Iowa, Nebraska, of course, right? Because that's that game. Our neighbor Jason, of course, is a big Nebraska fan. I know he took it personally. They wanted to play Nebraska because in their eyes, Iowa and Nebraska is a big game. It's a good neighborhood rivalry. I actually liked Nebraska, Dylan Raiola. It was cool to see that as well. And we played. And they mostly fucking played because every time I touched the controller, like it was, somebody was complaining. And we had a great time. The wave is in the game. It's short and sweet, but it's in there. And that was cool. Having done that, seen that in the game, was incredible. But I was immediately, now we get to the review portion of this review pod, I was immediately blown away at visually how good this game looks. Madden looks good. I think Madden gets a little bit of a bad rap these days. It's been on like a weird cycle. They've had some crazy bugs. I've seen some for college football too, which happens in game dev. But visually it was beautiful. And immediately too, because there was concerns, is this a Madden with a fresh coat of paint? And like clearly not. This is different animations. The gameplay is faster. Madden, I think, actually could learn a lot from this and takeaways. The sounds, you name it. I thought, visually speaking, it was stunning. I think some of the animations were pretty stunning. And, of course, the traditions. And I wrote about this a lot on BR. Like, I had to just try out Clemson and Tennessee and Penn State and all these different schools that I just see in, Notre Dame. Like, the way you get into these games feels authentic. And I'm sure that will lose its allure over time because it'll become like natural. You're going to get the same animation, same video over and over. But like at first it was pretty unbelievable. So, visually it's beautiful. Like again, I don't game like I used to. I don't think I'll be able to game this like I used to. So I'm not, in fairness, playing Call of Duty on a regular basis. Like my gaming, I jump in and out. But I was immediately captivated by just the general look. In terms of how it plays, it's going to be, there's two parts of this. First and foremost, in terms of the new additions, the new revamped passing system, they've got this switch stick on defense, which you can like bring your guy, cut off routes with your safeties or corners by using the left joystick. Like really cool. I fucking suck at it. Like blown coverages ahoy. There were some disastrous plays here in the first couple of nights. The passing system where you have, kind of a power meter and you can target it. Like when you do it well, you feel very good, but I'm not doing it very well. I don't love the wear and tear, right? Your guys are going to, make mistakes and get injured. I look, like college football, like Ollie Gordon isn't getting it shitty at carrying the football in the fourth quarter. And like, it's just weird. Like I get what they're doing. It's video gaming. It's fine. Like Luther Burden in the fourth quarter, it's like, we better not throw him the ball. We need to save him. Like, no, man. Like I get managing reps or fatigue if you want to keep it on. I thought that one was a little over the top. Not a huge fan of that. It's one of the few things I'm not a huge fan of. But outside of that, I think that the gameplay, even for me, it was very familiar. Even though I don't know how to use a lot of the new stuff, I think you could come in and really kind of just feel at home if you're playing on one of the more reasonable difficulties. The jukes, both with the right analog and the left analog, it's a lot. When you execute a juke, you feel like you've done something. And when you have a really good player, Jalen Milroe in this game, by the way, is pretty insane. Mobile quarterbacks seem to do pretty well in this game, and if you have a player that can wiggle a little bit, you're in business. I executed some good jukes. I executed some really fucking bad jukes where I'm juking myself into linemen and falling all over the place. But I like it. And the kicking game is also kind of insane. I've seen some videos on Twitter for this. You've got to match the timing, and then you have to kind of hold down to get the right amount of powder. Again, there's like multiple layers to it. On a normal kick in a normal environment, it's fine. But if you're playing at Penn State and you're the road team and it's night, like that thing is going to be fucking waggling, and good luck. There's been some hilarious shit that I've seen when it comes to kicking, so it won't be hard to find. Overall, though, in terms of gameplay, you can't not love this thing. Like, I've seen glitches. There's some weird oddities. There's a great glitch in my feed where the guy was essentially walking on air and got pushed over the end zone, which is great. I haven't heard about a ton of that. And then again, the game is so like received such welcomed response. I don't know if people would care. They just are so happy to like wrap their arms around it. Drink. Hold on. And I think that's true. It's basically where we left off, right? You've got Dynasty, you've got Road to Glory. I did try some online play. I got my absolute ass kicked by some fucking like 13-year-old kid who was talking all sorts of shit. I was not ready for that, man. I'm not ready to get back in that space. Like, I'm not there. Good to the kid out there, like, good work, buddy. But, you know, there's Road to the College Football Playoff. I do think Ultimate Team has a chance to be really cool. I know my kids were all about collecting cards and building your lineup. Like, I think that has a real shot in terms of replayability. But let's talk Dynasty and let's talk Road to Glory. So Dynasty, you know, you could start as a coordinator, and I'm only a couple of games in. You can pick your school, obviously, and then you're off and running. It feels like the Dynasty of old. Certainly in terms of the one thing I thought EA did a really good job of is kind of modernizing a football game for these football times. So recruiting is much more in depth. Again, this is where, as a dad, I cannot give recruiting the time and energy that it needs. And I would love to, but I can't. I'm going to try, but I can't. Recruiting, you've got the transfer portal in there. You've got expectations as a coach. I think overall it feels about right. I think they've put, this does have a fresh coat of paint and kind of modernized, but I mean, Dynasty, you don't really need to reinvent the wheel to make Dynasty meaningful. Just play the games. You got 30 seasons that you can go and enjoy. But I think some of the stuff with recruiting, again, if this was fucking 15, 20 years ago, it'd be amazing. Now I'm going to have to figure some things out. Maybe I'll pay somebody to do my recruiting for me so I can just play the games. It's still really, really fun. Road to Glory, maybe the biggest disappointment is that they don't have the high school season in Road to Glory anymore. Road to Glory, by the way, is when you're basically starting as an individual player versus a program. Whatever. You could be a running back, you can be a blue chip recruit, you could be a walk-on. I thought that was kind of cool. They added certainly a soul, I think, to Road to Glory as you go. Very MLB The Show-ish in terms of like now dealing with text messages and other things, both in life and everything else. But the fact that you just sign with the team rather than play your high school season, I thought the high school part was one of my favorite things. I was constantly trying to get my guy souped up as much as possible at whatever position. Obviously, you pick the position to go. It is what it is. I would imagine that will be back because that's got to be a popular thing to be requesting. But Road to Glory in itself, who do you want to be, right? Are you going to be an academic whiz? It's kind of boring. Are you going to be a followers whore like I am? Where you're trying to gain followers? It was very cool. Like, hey, you grew your followers by 500 people. Your academics can go down. You can have or lose relationships. It's fun. It's gimmicky, but it's fun. And then the games themselves, I love. Like, I've only played a few games as a running back. I did pick Nebraska, by the way, right? Like, I feel like I can't do Iowa everything. Like, Nebraska is the way to go. Plus, Iowa offense just sucks. And, I felt like you sporadically get into games. It plays a lot faster. And the fact that you can obviously port your guy eventually to Madden, also a lot of fun. I need more time with the mode, candidly, to really understand it. It's video gamey. It's a little arcadey. Not a bad thing, but I do think that Road to Glory is a place where in time they're going to add some depth to and bring back the high school elements of this. And I think that will be a good addition. But overall, you don't need much else in this game. The part that you get now, and the part that maybe I should have started with, but this is a solo pod, so I'm going to follow whatever the fuck path I want, is players being in the game. It's weird. It's great, but it's weird, right? Number 7 and number 5 and number 44. No, man. They're there. And they make an impact. And it's very, very cool. I think it's going to be huge for the sport. I think it's going to be huge for the players. I think it's going to help these guys transform into stars sooner, because now when you look at true freshmen and people that, fan bases are excited about, or guys that explode during an actual week, college football season, I think it's going to be a big deal. I think it's a great thing for the sport, and I think it translates remarkably smoothly. Having the college football playoff be 12 teams. Also, again, pretty cool. Something that, I haven't really gotten into any of my seasons with, but will do. It's all of this change in college football has been captured, I think, really, really well. You can create your own conferences if you want to be just the master of chaos. I thought that was really, really cool. And just in general, I think they've done a really good job. Now, I was always going to say they did a good job, because the fact that it's here, it's like everybody's just like, hell yeah, like, great job, everybody. But it's amazing. It's honestly, it is an emotional experience to have it back. And I know that makes me sound like a fucking dork, but it truly is. I don't want to forget to talk about my simulation results, because we do need to talk about that. I'm realizing that the screenshot I took was not a very good one, but I'm going to tell you what this playoff consisted of. So your top 4 seeds. So again, I boot this game up. I played with Iowa. Kids went to bed. Simulation time. Your top 4 seeds in the college football playoff, brought to you by No Puns Allowed, Kegs and Eggs, Adam Care, whatever. Oregon was the 1 seed. Georgia was the 2 seed. NC State was the 3 seed. And Utah was the 4 seed. If you remember listening, I don't know if we've done a pod since, but Paige and I did a live stream talking about the playoff format. People, it's very, very confusing. I think it's going to take a while for it to set in, but those top 4 teams got byes, and then the following matchups ensued. So playing the 1 seed was the winner of Alabama and Penn State. That winner was Penn State. So Alabama, bam. Playing the 4 seed, Michigan and Texas State. There's your group of 5 team. Michigan won that game. Playing the 3 seed, NC State, 6-11 game. Ole Miss versus Duke. Fucking ACC. Never mind. I'm not even going to get into it. Ole Miss wins that game. And then playing the 2 seed, Georgia was the winner of Ohio State and USC won that game. I don't know, of all the stuff that people were pissed off about, USC won 35-23, by the way. That seems to be the biggest. Now, Georgia versus USC in the next round. Georgia won 54-52. NC State versus Ole Miss. That's NC State winning 35-28. I don't know if any of this makes sense to anybody. It would be great if we had a visual up, but whatever. Utah, Michigan. How about Utah upsetting last year's champion? And then Penn State, Oregon. Oregon is there. So your final 4 is Oregon, Utah, Georgia, and NC State. It just sounds fucking hilarious. Also, it's a lot of red. And you got the green. This is the Christmas playoff format. So, of those 2 games, NC State beats Georgia 28-23. And Utah beats Oregon. They're not in the same conference anymore, which is kind of fucked up. 38-31. And your winner, your national champion, according to the simulation, between NC State and Utah. Could you imagine the ratings fuckers out there, what they would say about this game? Can you imagine like what they would say? The winner, the national champion, simulation winner, first ever 12-team college football playoff, NC State in a thriller, 24-21. According to EA Sports, according to my game, NC State will be your national champion, 24-21. Your Heisman, Cam Ward, Miami. Carson Beck, second. Gio Lopez for South Alabama, Jackson Dart, and Jordan McLeod. You've got two group of 5 quarterbacks in the top 5 of the Heisman. Notable, so your AP poll, your final AP poll, I don't know if there's anything actually interesting on here. Let's see. You know the top 12. Notre Dame finishing 9-4. Washington 8-5. Where is Texas? Texas just outside of the AP poll. I should know this. This is my sim. That's really interesting. UCF, Texas Tech, both 10-3. I could see that. Auburn 9-4. Colorado 8-5. Of course, still in the top 25 for some fucking reason. So there you have it. All Americans. If you want all the other information, you can go check that out on my Twitter page. That sounds like an old person. If Paige were here, she would not be thrilled with the way I said that. But if you can go check it out, it's been a blast, and people's responses have been absolutely hilarious. So it has been a week between the review, content, and everything else. It has been a week, but it really does feel good to have this game back. If you're on the fence, well, if you're listening to this, who are we kidding? You've probably already bought this thing. You've probably logged more hours than me. And if so, well done. I have very few bad things about this game to say. There's going to be bugs. The servers were a mess the other night. Of course they were. But I'm very, very happy to have it back in my life. The concern now is just how am I going to play this game? When am I going to find time? And so we need to look at that. We're going to figure that thing out. But overall, it's a game that looks and sounds and feels like college football. It's a game that's been appropriately modernized. The people that make this game clearly know and love college football. And it shows. There's so much work. I mean, this was like 4 years, right? It's been 11 years since we played this fucking thing. I mean, does it feel like that? Does it feel longer? I don't know. But I am so happy it's back. I'm not going to give it a star rating or a number rating, like 10 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. Like, it's college football 25. It is a game that you need to obviously own and play. And I'm actually going to go play it now. Pod stuff. Look, we've been on a hiatus. We are getting back. I was just looking at my writing schedule. Like, it is gambling ahoy coming up. So, we're going to be all over it. We're going to be previewing conferences. We're going to be talking about betting. We're like, 7-ish weeks away? 6 weeks away from what are we? It's the middle of July? No, we're less than 7. Dude, it's coming back. So I can tell you now, I need to get in player shape. I'm going to hopefully use the video game to help do that. And obviously, when Paige gets back, we will get this thing on the rails. But I hope everybody enjoyed the review. I hope you enjoyed the solo episode. It's much harder to drink beer during a solo episode, but I'll finish this puppy over a game. Get my dynasty back on track. We appreciate it as always, guys. The support. Thanks for listening. Please share, subscribe, all those fun things. Paige will be back. Hopefully she's having a wonderful time. But for Adam Kramer, I will talk to you guys soon.